Hi there, it's Frankly Tarot again. I wanted to do a VR to Becca's latest hashtag, which is your tarot growth. Now I did my tarot journey so far not too long ago, I think back in February or March, January or February. So I didn't really feel the need to kind of go through everything again. But I thought I would do a little bit of an update, how some of the things that I've been working on and learning since then. So let us start with, let me check my notes. And things have definitely, my tarot work has definitely progressed since I made that video. It's just been a few months, 3, 4, or 5 months. And she has some questions here, so let's start there. The first deck, what was the first deck you ever bought? First deck I ever bought was the Sacred Rose Tarot, and I hated it. I don't know why I bought it. It was by Johanna Gargiulo Sherman. It never worked for me, and I got rid of it fairly recently. The latest one I bought is the CBD Tarot de Marseille. I wanted to learn, it's a different system than the RWS, and I'd been wanting to learn the system, so I bought this and I picked up this book by Alejandro Jodorowsky and Marianne Costa, The Way of Tarot. And I've already got it all tabbed out, marked up, just in pencil though. And I've been really enjoying it. I really right now I'm kind of reading through this chapter on tarot pairs, the tarot 2x2. It's in the major arcana. I don't know if he goes into the quartz, later in the quartz. But it kind of lays out 2 cards, and he has a system or a pattern in which he addresses them, and how they complement each other when they're laid out in order, left to right, or back to back. So let's see. So the Emperor, number 4, next to Temperance, which is 14, how they complement each other in that order, and then what happens when you put Temperance 14 and then the Emperor 4. I'm finding it very interesting and kind of enlightening. I haven't done too much reading yet, but reading with the deck, definitely reading with the book, reading the book. But I'm really I'm enjoying the study. So that's my latest one. Now, not too long ago, I was watching YouTube videos, which I do for a lot, and I came across, let's see, Anna Astrolady, one of her videos, where she took the RWS, good old RWS tarot, and kind of made a map of the area that it seemed to be taking place in, and it worked out really well. And I thought this will work really well with the Dark Mansion Tarot. This has a very definite place. And so what I determined was that there's, of course, a castle that seems to be adjacent or in a park. There's also a town, a graveyard, and all of this is along a beach or a seashore with a kind of carnival, like a Coney Island type of place. And I laid out all the cards to see where they would be in these basic places within the area. And I also found that there's a kind of, seems to be a road. Where's my picture? There's my picture. Okay, let's see here. This works out. This will work. Seems to be a road. First of all, I have to make sure that it's right side up, and it is. Okay, so there seems to be a road that kind of goes from these mountains through the town to the beach. These mountains are woods. There's a castle, or the actual mansion. A park, there's a graveyard, and a shoreline. And the shoreline seems to have a couple of different areas. One is very pretty and lovely, and the other kind of has a darker carnival type atmosphere. And there's also a few cards that didn't really fit in a physical or physical-like place. It was more of a dreams time place. So I do want to develop this a little bit further. I may put it on a bigger piece of paper and get my paints or my colored pencils out and color it and everything. But it was a really interesting exercise, and I advise trying it with some of these decks. I mean, some of them are really grounded in a place. It seems to be. Oh, I have a lot of stuff here, including a glass of iced tea. I live in a northern place, so and in an old house, so I do not have air conditioning. And many people do not in these types of states, but we have one room that's air conditioned. We have a window unit, one room, not the one I'm in, so it gets warm. I don't mind it though. I don't mind it as much as I did when I lived down south, because we only have a few days of this and it's going to cool down again, and so it doesn't bother me. I can actually enjoy the 90-degree weather sometimes to an extent here, living here, than really I would if I had to put up with it for weeks on end. Okay. Now the other thing that I want to talk about is another hashtag called Tarot So White. Believe it's about 4 years old, but it's begun to pop up again, as it should. We still need to address this. And so, yeah, it looks like it's about 4 years old. Eric Garner was murdered by the NYCPD, the New York City PD, in 2014. So that's about 6 years ago. And that's when the BLM movement started. Or at least that's when it came into my awareness. Maybe it started before that, but I don't know. So I'm going to double hashtag this video with Tarot So White and Becca's hashtag. So I went through all my decks. I've got 17 decks, which is a bit more than I thought, to see what I had for diversity, and the answer is not a lot. A little more than I actually expected, but not a lot. Let's see, so I pulled out all the ones that do have diversity, and some of them, the diversity is a little problematic, but let's start with this one. It's called the Wheel of Change Tarot. I bought it with this book. I don't remember where I got it. I don't remember when I got it. It's been more than, let's see, I've been married 10 years and I'd had it then, so it's probably been 13 or so that I picked this up, and it's a pretty diverse deck. Let's see. It shows people of all types. All types. I don't think that's a good way to do it. It's a very, very diverse deck. I do like this card. Generally speaking, I don't like this deck. I don't like the style of drawing. And I trimmed one or two cards to use in a different way. So I don't know, I would probably have to trim the whole thing, which is not a task I really enjoy. So I might try to pass it along to someone who would actually use it, because I feel like it has a good, beyond being such a diverse and multicultural deck, I feel like it really has a lot of good symbolism in it. So I just showed the Queen of Swords, and she's sewing. I thought that was kind of neat. I do a lot of sewing myself. So I think it's a good deck. It's a solid deck. I just have never used it or really liked it, but maybe I'll pull it out and try again. I've never really read the book either. So maybe that is. I think now that I'm babbling on about it, I think I'll study it more before I decide to get rid of it or trim it or what. I didn't even show, I pulled out all the diverse cards, and there's a lot in here. And the rest of them tend to be, I feel like cards that show people is very balanced between white people, people of African descent, people of Asian descent, people of Middle Eastern descent, things like that. And the rest of them tend to be cards that don't really show people. Although they do show cultures. There are a lot of cultures depicted here. We can talk about and bring up the question of stealing from other cultures. I don't really know what to say about that in regards to this deck. Is it being respectful of these other cultures? I don't know. I feel like when you come across something, say, like this, that it's best not to take it at face value. It really should just be a window that you open and then explore. Is this a not correct, but is this a respectful and accurate depiction of this woman in her culture? I suppose if I read the book, I could get more leads to actually find out and explore it, and then I would know. I did, as I was going through these, some images are difficult to really tell, which is kind of a strange thing, because when it comes to an individual's race, I don't think we really have the right to tell someone what race they are. So this is the Devil card, and I did not actually put it in the pile of diversity from this deck, because I think he's got blonde hair. And so I think he struck me as a white person with a tan. That's a few of these. But again, it was so hard to tell that it brought up the next question, is just how much does it matter? Ultimately, it doesn't matter, but what matters is that when we get into real life, we start to be treated in a certain way because of how we look, the color of our skin, our gender, our age, etc. And that's when it really starts to matter. Okay, next. Let's just do the Morgan Greer real quick. One of my favorites. Not terribly diverse, but I had to give credit where credit's due, because the Nine of Pentacles is most definitely a black woman. I love this card so much. I love how serene and confident she is in the things she has created or acquired. And then I pulled out the Seven of Pentacles, because to me he looks Latino. So I thought I would give credit for that. That's it though for the Morgan Greer. The next one is I have trouble, Sasuraibito deck. Now this one, I've seen a lot of, not a lot, but I have seen some Asian American people pull this out and look at a card and say, this looks like me. And I can definitely see that. For the pile, I pulled out ones that really seem definitely to depict people of color. I don't want to say non-white. I don't like it when we define ourselves by what we're not. Non-white, non-straight, stuff like that. I don't want to do that. So Judgment depicts an Asian woman. The Knight of Wands. Again, he struck me as looking Latino, although the image in the back is a Greek mask, I think. In the end, we're all people in our ancient cultures. They seem to overlap in a lot of ways, even though those people probably did not meet up with each other. Nine of Pentacles, another. I think she looks Native American. I'm not going to go through every single one. Again, the Ten of Swords, I thought he looked like a Latino man to me. Three of Cups depicts two redheads and a black woman. There are a lot of other cards in this deck that I just pulled out the ones that were very obvious to me to be people of color. This is a good deck. I like this deck. I think a lot of people can see themselves in this deck. Not just us, you know, just not white people. All right, this one surprised me. This is the Illuminated Tarot. It's a little bit of an unusual tarot because it's got, I think it's got 53 cards in it. And it combines minors and majors within a single card. Let's see here. For instance, the 8 of clubs or the 8 of swords is also justice. So yeah, they combine the 2 cards. And excuse me, I'll drink a little more iced tea. I was pleasantly surprised as I went through this to see the number of people of color depicted. It's still not a lot. 1, 2, I haven't used it a lot, so they're sticky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 that I pulled out, but I wasn't expecting it. I think it looks like a Buddha. So this is the 2 of hearts or cups and temperance. 3 of diamonds. I like this one. She's sewing. I like it when I come across a tarot card with some kind of fiber arts happening. Playing games. Okay, now one of the things that is not in my pile, 2 of them, are animal decks. I think I have 2 decks, 2 or 3 decks that don't depict people at all. They're either animal or nature. Now I pulled out this as being a diverse card, even though it depicts an animal, because the coloring is clearly that of a person of color. And for contrast, this card, which looks like a lion to me, clearly represents a white person. So that's why I pulled out this card as representing a person of color. I did do a short reading with this deck the other day, and it's interesting. I mostly bought it because I really like the art in it quite a lot, but it can read. It has this little book, nothing real deep. I think that the creator of this deck is more of an artist than a tarotist, but the artwork really is gorgeous. It's a little unusual. All right, what's next? My problematic deck. This is let's see. I think I've pulled this out before. Scapini, the Medieval Scapini Tarot by Luigi Scapini. And I think it's technically a Visconti deck. I'm not really sure. I don't use this deck because I find it hard to look at. I find it hard to see. I think that the images might be a little blurry. They're not quite as sharp. There's a lot of detail for such a small art form as a card. So I don't use it a lot. It does depict people of color, but in what I consider mostly a problematic way. This is the Page of Wands. There's some glare here. Not sure where it's coming from. Lights are off. Page of Wands. 6 of Wands. There's has this kind of colonial aspect to the images. And here, I'm not sure how well that can be seen, but the black people tend to have overemphasized lips that are very pink, and it's a little cartoonish. It's unflattering, racist way to depict them. Now this card, 2 cards, is what I think it's supposed to depict a Jewish person. And again, it's that kind of racist depiction, anti-Semitic racist depiction of a Jewish person with the overemphasized nose, and I don't know. Anyway, the interesting thing is that this character with this costume is also depicted in another card here. So I'm finding I almost wish the artist had not bothered, trying to, or depicting people of color or Jewish people or anything. Just why? These images, these depictions are awful. Especially, I mean, look at this one. This is just, oh, I didn't even notice. Looks like he's got an Asian person in here. But, you know, in this card, the two black people on this side here are depicted almost as being, yeah, it's colonial. Here are the colonists, here are the colony, the people who've been colonized and made into servants and slaves. I don't really know what I should do with this deck. I don't really like the idea of getting rid of a deck just because it's problematic, but I don't read it. I don't know if I really want it out in the world either. I had never taken that good a look at it because I find it, well, partly because I find it hard to take a good look at this deck in general, and yeah, I just had never really looked at my cards looking for diversity in the past. And the Wheel of Change, deck is, I think, was created, much like the Mother Piece deck, was created to show diverse people and diverse cultures. This was published in 1997. So about 20 years after the Mother Piece, I think. So how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, I think, that show diversity. And one of them shows just 1 or 2 cards. The other shows them in very unflattering and kind of cruel depictions. It's an interesting, well, it's not interesting, it is interesting, but it's more than interesting. It's an important discussion that is happening around the diversity in decks. And I would like to see, I think someday, I really do think that someday it will just be normal that we'll be depicting various diverse people in our decks, because that's who will be around us. That creators will be more and more immersed in a diverse community, and more people, it will filter its way into the decks. We do need to be intentioned about it, at least for now. I mean, I have a lot of hope for the young people who are in their early 20s and the younger ones coming up, that they're going to really, hopefully, be able to create the world that we, who are in our 40s and 50s and maybe around older, have been wanting to see. And some of us, I'm embarrassed to say not me so much, but some people have really been fighting so hard for so long for that world. And I think we're on the brink of it. I hope so. Anyway, that is my video for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Oh, and if you like the content that you're seeing on my channel, go ahead and subscribe, like them if you like them, and leave comments below. Thank you. Bye.